A very good morning and good evening, everyone. Welcome back. So our last session, we were discussing about Linux basics, by the way. So we have covered so far a couple of commands. So let me just note down the commands. Just to recall, so the commands which we have discussed so far is, so we talked about the first command, which is ls command. And ls command, we talked about a couple of options and important options that we might use it in day to day. So one is ls hyphen capital A for hidden files and hyphen L for a long list. And after that, we talked about how do we create the files by using touch command and how do you remove the files by or basically create the directories by using mkdir. And how do you remove the files by using rm command, and you can remove the directories by using -r option as well, or rm-r. Then we talked about how do you copy the files by using cp command, and also cp has -r option for directories, and mv option we discussed to rename the file, and as well as to move the file from one place to another place. So until here we have discussed in our yesterday's session. So we wanted to continue with the next commands over here. So to continue with the next command, so first what I wanted to do is I want to create a virtual machine. So to create a virtual machine, maybe I'll start with a resource group. And even you can start with a virtual machine also. There itself, you can create a virtual group itself. And create a virtual machine. So you can just choose a new resource group. That should be fine. You can use your own username. Any username should be fine. Let it create the resources, and we have the things under the documentation under killer coda. Let me open it. I already logged in, if not login. And so just go with the basics. So the documentation is available here. Okay. So the next topic I wanted to talk here is the Linux editor, by the way. So where I wanted to edit some file, how can we use editor to edit a file, and how do you use editor to create a file with maybe like, and add some content, by the way, right? So how do you do that? So that is part we're going to discuss now. For that, we just need the VM to be up and running. I'm using my macOS. Otherwise, you'll be using your PuTTY on Windows to connect to that machine. So here, my username at the rate. Okay. Now we want to start with editors. There are so many editors which is part of an operating system. Like Windows also, you can install many softwares, right? So here Linux also, you have many softwares by the way. But the editors like VI, Nano, Gedit, Emacs, okay, which are could be widely or which are widely used in the operating systems. But however, 90% of the operating systems so ships VI as a default editor. I mean, we have seen so many Linux flavors, right? So their different operating systems have their different customizations out of all these, by the way. So VI comes as mostly as a default one and also a powerful one, by the way. Okay. So though it is so powerful, we'll not go with so much of its options, by the way. So why? Because we'll talk about one more editor here, and that editor is command line editor. So this VI is an interactive editor. So that means I wanted to open the file, manually edit the thing. So then VI comes into picture. But if that is not the case, and if I wanted to do it from the directly from the command line, I execute a command so that it modifies a file. Then in that particular case, we'll talk about one more editor after this. All right. So let's go and try to talk about. So just allow me to do one more thing also while I do this. I just want to update this documentation. So here, just this is actually I was supposed to do some offline work, but just bear with me. I'm just looking for the documentation, by the way, in my system where it is. So I just wanted to slight update. I don't know where is my documentation also. So many are there. This is a killer Quora. Okay, I can find out directly here. So just give me a minute. I will just. Will not find here. Got it. Like I mentioned, this is completely not related to our training. But however, I just wanted to update this particular documentation. It's been going just like that all the time. I was not able to update it. I just wanted to do that. So if you are seeing that killer code documentation, by the way, so here is the behind the scene documentation, is the Linux CLI syntaxes. Okay. So out of this, maybe if you are seeing an editor, so here is an editor, by the way. So this is the raw documentation, which is showing you the things here as like this. Okay, fine. So I just wanted to update this. Like as I mentioned, so V is a powerful editor and it comes with more options, by the way. But however, we're going to consider these two options only because we will edit the code more with editor installed in your local desktop, right? Now, if you try to understand, okay, VI editor, you have to log into the system, you have to modify the files, by the way, right? But however, if you go back to the real-time scenarios, you will not directly log into the systems and you will not do the modifications because you go back to your fundamental rules and roles and responsibilities. What is the one we're talking about? We're talking about automation is a key factor, or automation is the key thing that you're going to do in your role, by the way, right? So that means this work is becoming contrast, right? But however, okay, at least at times you may need to log into the system and occasionally you may need to modify. So as a part of some troubleshooting or whatever it is, right? So that's where we are going to talk about this. But otherwise, automation is the major scope. And when you're doing the automation, you're writing the code and the writing the code is you're seeing my editor. So this is some kind of editor you're installing in your system and you edit your code, by the way. Majorly, you're going to, in the organization, will work on the local desktop, okay, and writing the code, by the way. And that's where you may not really need all the VA editor options because we don't modify directly on the server, okay? And also, later with automation as well, we don't do the manual changes on the server. So we will just, I mean, we'll don't do manual changes on the server directly at all. In lab as well, same like companies. Okay. So that is the reason. So VI, whatever the option I'm going to talk about, it's just going to be a, let's consider as the much needed options, but not every option in VI editor. Okay. Same like Linux, I consciously took a decision that, let's not spend too much on the Linux. VI editor also, I'm telling, let's not spend too much time on the VI editor because so one thing will not do the things manually on the systems, but at times you need to do that. And that's where we're giving a basic understanding of how do you deal with this editor. And also, okay, we are also next, we're going to talk about is the another editor, which is called as SCD editor also, which is a command line editor. So this is more through towards to the automation. So later, maybe after 2 weeks of training, so this week we'll learn basics. Next week we'll set up some project, and after that we are going to get into the automation. By the way, while we get on to the automation, when we wanted to do edit some files and add some content to the files and all, we will not do open with VA editor and do that. Okay, so manually we don't interact with the system, so we run with an automation. And to run with an automation, so there is another editor comes into picture, so which is a CD editor. Would like to cover the options a bit more onto the command line editor rather than the VA editor. But the same thing you can do it on the VA editor. But just look at I mean, you're learning today, but are you really going to use this tomorrow? The answer is no, because we work in a different fashion, right? So that's where we editor, we just cover only two options. Okay, one is we can edit the file and save the changes, basically, which is the basic option. And otherwise, we can just edit the file, but maybe we don't need to save the changes. I will need to come out without saving the changes. Okay, so these two options only we'll talk about. All right, so let's go and try to talk about these things. Right. Okay. So yeah. This I'm keeping. Okay. So just this, because this document is going right side, it's not that great for you to read. I just cut into this. Okay, so let's start with the a basic editor. So we can just go with we can edit the file by saving the changes, by the way. Now, how do I deal with that is, now you open a file name, VI and the file name. Okay, so I don't have any file. So let me just copy one file. Maybe let's say I'll pick up one system file, etc password. So etc password is a file that has a lot of users in the system. And okay, now I'm using one shortcut, which I maybe did not explain yesterday during the CP command. I am copying a file, but I want to copy into my local directory. Okay, the file name is etc password into my local directory. But when you copy it, rather than typing the full file name, so what you have to do is you have to copy that as okay. You have to type this particular one, this one. Now, rather than this, you can use a shortcut dot, by the way. So you're telling that okay, copy the file name to my local directory with as simple as the same file name. Okay, then that is going to copy the same file name. So the dot is going to help you as a shortcut to avoid giving the file name and telling the location as well. Okay, to the current directory. So dot denotes current directory. Yesterday we talked about dot, which is a parent directory. If you remember, cd command we talked about, right? So cd dot means it is taking you to the parent directory. That means it is representing your parent directory path, and dot denotes current working directory, so which is current location. Now I'm going to open this particular file. So the file name is password. Okay. And VI not found. Seriously. Oh, I think I was told about this. My bad. No, VI should be there. Okay. So just run this command. What is this command? You'll understand it later. So we'll talk about in the scripting, by the way. So here I will fix this maybe after the session. I'll fix this on the image perspective, but otherwise VI is there, or else, yeah. So either you run that command or you give the full path of VI, by the way. So VI password. So either of the one will fix our job. Either you run this command or you run the VI like this, by the way. So which is a full path of your VI command. Your commands are coming from some place, and this is the full path of that one. Okay, either of that one. So this is the recent made image from my side. I was told there is a problem, but I forget to fix it. Okay, fine. So this is the file. Now over here, so I open this particular file. So now what you need to do is you need to get onto a insert mode. Now maybe in a notepad, if you take it, you open a file with notepad, maybe you click on it, right? So something like that. You click on that file so that you can start using typing and all, right? Same way here also, you want to get onto insert mode. So you have to press a insert button, okay, in your keyboard, or if you don't have insert button, you can also press I character also is fine. So the moment you press I, it will show you're using a insert, by the way. You're getting into a insert. So you see this. Okay. Then you do make whatever the changes you want to make it. So now let's say I go to the end of the line and press enter. Let's say I'm adding something. Okay. I type whatever I wanted to type. But once I'm done with that, so you press escape. Okay. I'm pressing escape now. So that insert is gone. That means you are not changing anything. And finally, if you want to come out, so press :WQ. : W. W stands for write the changes, like Control S, by the way. And Q means quit, save and quit is the option. W stands for write the changes, Q for quit, and WQ. So now that means you open this particular file once again, you will see those particular changes. All right, so that's where to view the content of the file or you do the modification, you can open with an editor. So which is by using VI editor. And by using VI editor, you can open the file, make some changes, whatever the changes you want to make it. So do those particular changes, and then you can press escape, colon WQ, and done. So as a VI editor, it has a hell lot of options. Okay. So there are books even for that, right? So there is something called as VIM 101. Okay. 101 hacks. So something like that. Okay. So there are even books also, like that much big editor it is. Okay. So which is a very good book and very good options. But again, we're talking about ROI. Okay. So that means return on investment. The time I'm investing over here to learn the VI option and tomorrow I'm really going to use it is a big question. Okay, that is where, okay, we're consciously taking a decision that, okay, we'll open the file, do the modifications. That's it. So we don't want too many options around VI editor at this point of time. Okay, so that's about VI. And how do you interactively open the file and, do the modifications? Let's say I'm going to insert mode and I wanted to remove this line. Let's say I'll remove this line and colon, okay, escape, colon, WQ, and enter. So you will come out. You're coming out. So this is how we can make the changes. For an example, the second option is I don't want to make the changes. So somehow I made the changes, but I don't want to save this. Now what I'll do is escape. So you press a Q exclamatory. Q exclamatory. What are the reasons I decided, okay, I'll not change this file. So let me come out without this. So Q exclamatory. So that is what is the two options I would be telling you to go around the VI editor. Does it make sense? Any questions on this?
Yes, Kumar. So, Raghu, instead of Q and exclamation mark, we can just also keep Q, right? Only Q. Will that work?
Only Q will not quit if you have made some changes.
Okay. So, if we haven't done any changes, so then only Q will work.
Correct.
Okay.
Any other questions? Now to do those changes, you necessarily need not to get onto the VI editor also. So there is another editor now. You can use it by the way. So which is SCD editor. Okay. Now let me write a small notes. Most of the times as a DevOps engineer, so we are going to make the changes to the systems using automation. And while we are in Linux OS, to automate, we will use shell commands only to perform that job. Okay. So here the command, so command SCD comes as default CLI editor, which can do the job. Okay. So SCD is the most, again, another powerful editor, by the way, like same like VI. Now SCD also, you have, very big editor. Okay. So the same VI, I mean, the same Naresh Natarajan. So those books were so famous, like, so 20 years back. I mean, when those books was released, almost 18 years, at least, if I'm not wrong, those books age is 18 years, not now, by the way. Okay. So now the same guy actually have 101 hacks for SCD also. Okay. So these are very good editors. I'm not talking, these are not great editors, but again, our problem right now is we are in a better world, by the way. That's a problem. So the same guy who has written the VI 101 hacks, the same guy has written this book also, SCD and AWK 101 hacks. Okay. So these many options, we don't need it. Okay. So, but yeah, it's also a powerful editor. The point was only that. And it also comes with a lot of options. And again, now when you pick up any editor, okay, so what are the options we can think of when we pick up any editor? Okay, so what if we think these may be the options that can come? These may be the requirements that can come. These may be the requirements that can come. Okay. Now, what are the requirements that can come here? So first one. Okay. Now, what I can just think about, you have a notepad or you are given a word pad, by the way. What are the things is possible that can come into picture? So can some people can comment? So maybe please participate. What are the things that you think of you should do it in it, or will you do it in editor? You already have a Windows experience. Forget about Microsoft Word and all. Just take a notepad, text editor. Now tell me, what are the things that you do require to do it in an editor? What are the operations you'll perform? Can someone contribute? Replace the word. Okay, I'll replace a word. Search and replace, I would say. Actually, when you say replace a word, it's a search and replace, right? Okay, what else? So such a keyword. Okay, such a keyword is not a part of editor, by the way. Of course, you can do it with the editor. Agree, but it's not an operation, right? I would call not as an operation because we have other, Linux. Actually, you have just to search. By the way, there is another powerful command lines, by the way, for that. So that's where let's not go with the search option. Yeah, I mean, you can do that, but still, let's not do that over here. So write lines. Okay, when you actually write the lines, I think you just need to think of a bit more detail, I would say. So then, okay, so string count, word count, these are all not the part of editor jobs. Sorry. So that's not the part of editor. To count the strings and all, do you think you go and just go with the Windows only? Don't imagine yourself too much. Just Windows editor, notepad, what are the things you will do? Operation wise, you think of. Search and replace, one good option. Modify, but what is a modify? I mean, every editor is about to modify, right? So what modify? Search and replace is one thing. What is the things that I have done with the V editor right now? Okay, add a line. I just did the add a new line, right? I just did add a new line. Isn't it that an option, right? And the third one, I also did a delete a line. Okay. Delete a line also I have done that. One line I removed, and second time. First time I added a new line hello world. So that means adding a line, deleting a line is an option, right? And do you think anything else? Operation wise. Now, when you say modification, what modification, by the way? Editor is all about to modify a file, of course. That is a core, by the way, right? So what to modify? All right, I think that's okay. Let's consider these three options only. Okay, and let me think of even what else you can do. You can add new lines, you can delete a line, maybe you can search and replace. I don't see any options you'll be getting apart from this. So in an editor, okay, so whether you do a search and replace, or you'll be adding a new lines, or you'll be deleting a lines. Seriously, this much only you'll do with the editor. Okay, so that's it. So let's go and try to talk about these particular options. Okay, but manually you have done that with VA editor. Okay, maybe search and replace I did not really explain on the VA editor, but VA also have that option. Let's not go there. So I wanted to use another editor for that particular purpose. So here, search and replace and add a new line and delete a new line. So doing with um, dealing with SCD editor. So now let's try to go with that. So now let's go with the above operations. So the first one is, okay, so here, search and replace. Okay. So here, if I want to search and replace, then I will go for, so here the syntax is actually going to be like this. So if I look at the syntax looks like this. So SCD is a command. Okay. SCD is a command, and you're asking to modify the file. So then -I option. Okay. So is the syntax SCD command -I, and so search for substitute, search and replace, right? So substitute search, and you can give a pipe symbol, sorry, forward slash, or you can use pipe symbol also, is also okay. Okay, just a delimiter, because in these editors you get a boxes and all. This is all graphical, right? But here you can't get graphical. So you wanted to search for a source and another pipe symbol, and basically like source, I mean word one, let's say I'll keep it like this. Word one, you wanted to replace that with word two and a pipe and the file. Okay, so this is the one. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is, so let me go and try to see the content of that particular file. Now there is one more command also here. So just to see the content of the file, so there's a cat command. So you can use cat command. Cat command is going to show us the content of that file. Now here I wanted to search for, let's say, hello, or basically like, let's say you have something called as no login. Okay, and because no login is there in so many places, and I wanted to search for no login, and I wanted to replace that with SCD-I. Okay, so search for no login and replace that with S login. Okay, and the file is password. Okay, so this file name, I'm going to deal with that. So now if I do this, so then that particular file, all the no logins becomes a S login. Okay, let's go and try to run this SCD-I no login and change to S login. Now, if you want to see the changes, whether it is really happened or not, so cat space password. Now you can see this, all the S logins becomes no logins. Sorry, no logins becomes S logins. Okay. So that's where this is how it is going to become. So, but here I would like to explain two more options. So in SCD command, we use -I option to edit the file. However, in case if we don't want to edit the file, but we need to see the changes on the screen, then we no need to provide -i option. Okay. So if you -i option, then it has given the change, or it has done the changes. Let's say the same thing, SCD. Now let's say if I search for S login. Okay. So search for, let's say, replace that with no login. Okay, I'm giving. All right. And then you can give the file name password. Now it is not going to modify the file because I did not give the -i option. And if I hit enter, so just change the output, by the way. So you can see this just changed the output. But it didn't modify the file. So that means if you cat that file, so the file is still the same thing. It just updated the output only. So you just give the -i option if you want to edit the file. Of course, we have to do that. But let's say you're doing some trial and error, basically like learning. So you may not really need to give the -i option. You don't want to give the -i option. You can play around just by running without -i option. It just displays on the screen. So this way it will help you. So now what we have done is we have just searched and replaced, by the way. Okay. So now search and replace comes with two more scenarios. Search and replace comes with two more scenarios. Okay. So what is that is the first scenario is the first scenario here is and replace all strings in a line. Okay. Search and replace all strings in a line. So what does this means? So when you actually try to do this, by the way, for an example, I'll try to, let's take a word root. Root is there here, root is there here, root is there here. Okay. So SCD-E, or you don't give -E also is fine. So search for root, and I'm replacing that with admin, something like that, and give this, and I go for file called as password. Now what is happening here? The root has been modified as an admin, and wherever you have root, it should be updated as admin. I don't see any other place you have. Here also you have root user. It also just updated as admin. But here, if you see this, the first line is itself, there are multiple places where you have root, and those particular places it did not modify. And that is the scenario. So what is the SCD command behavior is, it does the modification on line 1, first modification, and it will move to the second line immediately. Okay, it will not go with the other lines. So how do you deal with this? Okay, so that is where the option comes into picture. So how do you deal with that is just deal with okay, so search for root and replace that with admin by using G option. So G stands for global. It is global across the file. Across the line, not the file. Okay. So now across that line, you're modifying the G option. Now all the roots has been changed to admin. And maybe some cases you will get an option. You change the first possibility. Yes, you can do the number 1. It can do the first possibility update only. So 1 is the first possibility. Now you give number 2. It just updates the second possibility also. That is possible. For all possibility, it is G. For nth possibility, you can give the number as well. Okay. So that option is there in SCD editor. Okay. So that is how you can search and replace something, by the way, using SCD editor. Make sense? Any questions?
Hey, Raghu.
Yeah.
Yeah, if I want to modify, like there are so many routes I want to modify in between, and there's a big file. I don't know the number, so how can I modify that?
Why do you need number?
No, the possible number. So
Is
there
it
are so like hundreds of line. I want to modify particular line value only, but how could I modify?
that is illogical, right? If you have logic, then only a computer can operate. If you don't have a logic, how a computer can operate? Yes or no?
No, you can normally in VI you can identify means difficult
Yeah.
on the correct.
Yeah, that is a manual intervention, right?
Yeah.
So that's not a computer doing the job. That you are doing the job. If computer need to perform, it needs the instruction is pretty much simple. You need it the correct one, then only it can do it.
Okay.
Right? You have a calculator, by the way. If you don't know what numbers you want to calculate, how calculator can help you? Isn't it?
Okay.
Right? You open a Linux terminal. You don't know what commands to execute. How a terminal can help you?
No, not that much. Like in this scenario only,
This
like
scenario, same thing, right? So there you are actually executing the commands as a human being. You are operating it, isn't it?
no,
Okay.
that's true. Like there's a big file, and the number of roots are there.
You're not understanding the things. You are mixing the things of a human capability with the system capability. Okay, there is a big file with a VA editor. You're navigating up arrow, down arrow. You're sending the instruction, correct?
Yeah.
Okay. So if you don't send the instruction, you have a big file. VA editor cannot help you.
No, there we can search actually. Yeah. We can
Again,
search.
no. You're fundamentally missing the point. You're searching. Search also you're sending an instruction, right?
Yeah.
So without sending any instruction, you open a file and you're simply sitting silent. Will file do the job?
No.
So here also same thing. SCD, you simply can't do anything unless and you send the instruction. You send the instruction, then SCD also can do the job. The same instruction, whatever you want to perform with vEditor, same instruction, you can do that. So that means unless until you're clear on the requirement, none of the things can help you, either the vEditor or here also. vEditor, you're doing an interactive, you're doing an interaction, still sending the instructions. It's not doing on its own, right?
Okay.
Yeah. Any other questions? But however, you can, I can do this job like this. So first of all, okay, let's say the same example we take it. We have a big file. We don't know what to do, right? So let it be a big file. I don't mind, by the way. So you have to find out what I had to perform. Okay. Then you bring that instruction and maybe you manually try to understand, by opening the editor or do the cat command or whatever it is. You try to identify what you're supposed to do. Then you clearly understand the logic that what you need to do. Then you send that instruction to the automation, like automation commands like SCD. Then only these tools can do the job. Okay, so you have to so bring the learning there, like what to do by yourself. You have to learn from unknown to known. Then you come and do the operation, by the way. Yeah. Any other questions? In the same SCD, there is also one more scenario here. So for an example, if I'm searching for SSH, or let's say there's a capital SSH, there's a SSH, okay, small SSH. Now, if I give SCD -E, -E is not needed. I just got used to that. So SCD search for, okay, SSH and replace that with, like let's say SSH, I'm replacing that with, let's say YYH, just a string, that's okay. SSH, I'm replacing that with YYH, and I wanted to replace G, okay, and the file name is password. Now, wherever I have SSH, it should be, so changing that to YYH. But if you see this, actually, this SSH is not modified. And what is the difference? It's pretty simple. That's a smaller case and is a uppercase. Now you want to deal with a case insensitivity, then what is the option that you are supposed to use here is I. I is a case insensitivity enablement we are doing. So YYH, and here also it replaces that as YYH. Okay, so that's what it is. So that means second one is replace with case insensitivity. Okay, I option you'll be using. So we can use okay, that's a such and replace. So now the next one, so which we wanted to do here is, what is the second option? Add a new line.
You are mentioning here as a bash, right? What is this bash? Is it kind of an end of command or something?
No, that's a syntax actually. You don't bother about that.
Syntax.
So
Okay.
here it's like this for documentation purpose.
Okay. Okay.
Okay. Now I wanted to do a next one, so which is add a new line. Now, what is the criteria you can think of adding a new line? I want to add a new line. So there should be some logical criteria that should be done, right? So adding lines can be done in two criteria, at least my understanding, in two criteria. So the first one is, as the first one is going to do is, so give line number, and based on that line number, we can add. Okay. So the second one is give a string, and based on that string, we can add. Okay. So that means now let's say I will say that line number 1, you add a new line. Okay. Line number 1, you can add a new line. So that means this is the line number 1. Adding a new line means it will add it in the second line. Okay. So that means if I go and say that give a line number, and based on that we can add, insert, or change. Okay, 3 operations are possible. Okay, so what all those 3 operations are is, okay, so I can just, based on the line number, right? So you can just go and give one insert. I'm not giving -i option, so let's print it on the screen. First line, insert with hello world. So this is just going to add a new line, directly insert a new line. It's not adding, by the way. So it's an operation called as insert. You can see this, the first line it is inserting. It's insert option. If you have used Excel and all, Microsoft Excel, so there you will find out an option, insert only. So they don't talk about adding. Okay, so in which line you want to insert. So the insert means the existing line will become the next line. Okay, so whereas you can also go for, you can also go for addition. Okay, adding a new line. So that means adding a new line means to the first line you're adding, so that will add to the second line. Whereas, okay, you can see this, to the first line you're adding a new line. For the first line, you're adding a new line. So that's what it is. And some cases, I don't want the existing line and I wanted to replace that existing line with my whole new content. Okay. So then change will come into picture. So first line. So first line is removed and our line has been added. So these are the three scenarios on adding a content will come into, or adding a line come into picture into your file. Okay. Whereas the second option which we're talking about here is, based on some string, by the way. Okay. Now, based on the some string, so what I can do is wherever you find a root, so wherever you find a root, okay, so you insert a hello world, and wherever you find a root, so add a hello world, and wherever you find root, you change that line to hello world. Okay. So that means, so wherever I found a word root, I'm searching a word root into forward slashes I'm giving. I'm searching a word root. So root is found here, hello world has been replaced. Root is also found here, hello world has been replaced. Inserted. Okay. So it inserted a, not replaced, sorry, my bad. It inserted a line, which is here, root. So root is there. So it just inserted that line. So A stands for append. After that, it will come. Okay, if your requirement is after adding that line, or if your requirement is to change that line, so C will come into picture. Okay, so remove the line and replace that with hello world. Okay, so that is where your search and replace and as well as adding new content will come into picture. And the last option which you have is a delete option. Delete criteria is same only. So either you can just find a word, okay, so root, and you delete the lines. Okay, you delete those lines, or else you just give line numbers. I can give, let's say 5D I'm giving, whoever is the fifth line would have gone. Okay, so some ADM or something like that is gone. So this, okay, so this is how you can do that. Okay, so here I'm just going to do two criterias. Delete and delete. Okay, at last, by the way, with a single std command, we can perform multiple operations also as well by using -e option. Okay, so here -e option is std -e. Okay, so first line delete and -e. Okay, so 10th line add hello. Okay, and -e. Okay, so search for root and replace that with admin 5 and the, so something like this you can do. It is possible. Okay. Right, so you can do the multiple operations by using -e first operation, -e second operation, -e third operation. So like this, you can deal with that. Okay, so that's all the operations that we are going to do it on the editor perspective. So the first editor we talked about is VI editor. VI needs a lot of interaction. So in automation world, interaction doesn't make sense. So that's where another editor, SCD editor. And when we talked about the SCD editor, we talked about most of the options. So which is search and replace, and so adding a new file, adding a new line, and deleting a line, by the way. So these three scenarios we're talking about. And in VI editor also, so you can so do one more thing. So for an example, if I want to create some new file, so vim new.txt. Okay, so now no vim is there. So vi or even /bin/vi. Okay. So over here, I wanted to place some content, by the way, so which is available in my Linux or sorry, in my Windows system or something. You copy the content here, okay, and you go to the insert mode. In putty, you just do a right click. By the way, it will work. So here I'm doing a right click. It is giving me a pane. So just giving a paste, by the way. But otherwise, in putty, automatically it will paste. To really get a window like paste and all, you just go to the insert mode, right click, it will paste automatically. Maybe I'm using macOS. It's giving an option for me to paste, and I'm pasting. Okay, done. So escape:/WQ. So that means we copied the content from our Windows system to the Linux box also. This is also possible. Okay. So this is what it is with the editor prospect. Any questions?
Yes, Raghu. So in this VI, we can also create and edit file at the same time, right?
Yeah, if the file is not there, it will create the file. If the file is already there, it will open the content.
Yes. And with this sed command, you said for only for just viewing the changes, we will not give -i. But if you want to insert the changes, like if you want to directly change what are the changes we have done, so we will be just placing one single I in the start,
Correct.
-i.
Yes.
With even with the multiple changes.
Correct.
Okay. So, as per your knowledge, so here just we have seen the three scenarios, right? Just adding a line, change, search and edit, and search and replace and removing them. So, what in the real time, what other things we will be going to do in the cd command?
See, there may be million scenarios comes into picture, so we just can't just do the million simulations at this point of time, right? So let the requirement come in. I mean, otherwise you tell me. I mean, forget about real-time scenario, right? So we're not dealing with real time. You
Okay,
already
so
know
they
the
will be like, yeah, so they will be like, we have to change the
hold on,
XML part, right?
hold on.
Yeah.
So it's all about text editor. Windows, by the way, Notepad.
Yes.
Now you tell me, apart from these scenarios, what are the scenarios will come? Let's talk about scenarios only. Why do you need to talk about requirement? If scenario is there, then only the requirement will come into picture, right?
Yeah.
Now tell me the scenario, then we'll try to talk on that, by the way.
So we can also change the what we say this font of the. We can change the font. We can make the characters bold, headings somewhere like this, something like that.
What you want to do? What? Sorry, small characters to bold.
Yes. We
Bold
can
or
change the caps or bold. We can change the font type as well, right?
in Notepad, can you change the font to bold?
No, plus we can do that, I guess.
It's not possible. We're not talking about Windows Word document or something. Microsoft Office, we're not talking. That's a third-party software. So just go with a text editor with a Notepad, by the way, in your Windows.
Okay.
Compare with the text editor only. We're not talking about a graphical content.
Okay.
Yeah. Linux is not for graphical things. It's all purely text only. So if you have any scenarios, then we can only talk on the scenarios perspective. Requirement can be million requirements. Let's not bother about the requirements. Anyhow, our project will bring us our own requirements. So we'll deal with them anyhow. However, yeah, scenarios is important. Not able to hear you, Anil.
Hello.
Yeah.
While creating a file, you gave a /bin /vi.txt. So why you have added /bin before vi.txt, new
There's a small
.txt?
problem in my there is a small problem in my system, by the way, in the image which I have given. So that's where I'm giving the full path. Now, any command what you are using, ls command you have given. Now, if you really wonder where this ls command, somewhere it should be sitting in the system, right? So that's where if you give type and ls, if you ask for it, so type ls is telling ls is a colored auto, is an alias coming in. But however, if I go and give, let's say, another command, mv command, so now it is telling me, so this command is actually available in this location. The same way type vi by search word. So it is actually coming in usr bin vi, or which is also nothing but /bin /vi. So I just gave the full path of the command because there is something called as alias in between, which we'll talk about a bit later in the automation perspective. So that is something breaking in the system.
These commands are existed in that bin directory, so you gave one, right?
Everything is a file. Your commands is also a file in the system. So that means they has to exist somewhere. Otherwise, it won't work, right?
Okay, got it.
Yeah. Any other questions? Okay. So let me refresh this. So the changes which I made it is available as a document by now. Let's see this. So this is the one. This is what I was talking. So we edited, and after that SCD edited. So all the options came out here pretty well. All right. So all the options are available for you also for reference. Cool. So the next one, which we're going to talk about here is content filter, by the way. Now, when you have a file with a large content, okay, so how do you deal with that content? So then, which I was doing by using first one by using a cat command. I just shown you right now already. So what a cat command will do, cat command is going to just try to show you all the content, by the way. So cat password is showing you the all content. Sometimes it becomes handy, so which is a n option, so which will show you the cat with line numbers as well. Okay, so this is what we have with the cat command. But let's say if you're dealing with a very big file and that file is too much big file that cat will just bombard the screen. Now in that particular case, so what I wanted to do is I wanted to go with the filters, by the way. Okay, I want to start filtering. Now how the filters will come into, or what all the filters, or what is the criteria for the filtering, by the way. So right, is basically you go with a line number based filtering. Okay, then there are certain commands for that. So for an example, in the same file, so head of password will give you top 10 lines. This is not giving the full file, it's just giving only the top 10 lines. Whereas if you want another line numbers also, it is possible. So that means you can go and give head -i. Let's say I want only 3 lines, head -n 3 password. So we get 3 lines. Okay, so that's your choice. Now the same way, so the tail command, the last lines will come. So the tail and then the password file. So the last 10 lines it will give. And if I'm looking for last, okay, so 3 lines or something like that, or 2 lines, so you give -n2. So you get the last 2 lines. All right. So this is what is we have with head and tail, by the way. So now what is the filtering happening based on the line numbers? Okay. Now, not with the line numbers. I wanted to go with a, let's say, a row-based filter. I want to get row-based filter. So which is nothing but searching a word and you want to get that line. So that row only. So search a word and get those lines. Filter with basically with a certain word. Now grep root from password. So grep root is a string I want to search for. File name is password. So now you get only the lines which is having a root. Okay. So this is what you are getting. So for an example, grep space bash from password. So you get only the lines which is having a word bash. So that's a grep command. And also you can do a column-based filtering also. So for an example, if you look at this file, this is a proper column file. So first column is there, and then colon character is there, X is there, and again colon is there. This is a proper column file. So now if you want to do a column-based filtering, okay, you have another command, so which is AWK command. You tell that, hey, my field separator is colon, okay? So, and within single quotes, within flower brackets, you're telling print $1, which is nothing but the first column, and the file name is password, so you get the first column. Okay, so in the same file, so using colon as a delimiter, you get the first column. Sometimes you get CSV. CSV means comma separated file. So that will be doing, so -f comma you will give because the field separator is comma there. Okay, so whatever is yours, you will be telling that particular field separator, and based on that, it can do the column-based filtering. So with AWK, you can also get multiple columns also, maybe like $1, comma $3 you can give. So you'll get like this. All right. So this is what is we have with the filters, by the way. So there are a bit more things to learn, by the way. So which is called as regular expressions. I have given a video for your reference. Please, whenever you find some time, so just go through that and so spend some time around it. You'll understand a bit more. Let's say if your search needs some complexity, so how do you deal with that? So that scenario, you can see that. But otherwise, these are the filters. Cat command, head and tail commands just for line-based filter, and grep is to search a word and get that line, and AWK command is column-based. So that's where I just categorized as line number-based filter, row filter, and column filter. Okay, there may be other commands as well to do the same job, but I just went with certain commands which comes by default with the operating system. Clear? Any questions? You need to unmute and talk, Manasa. You raised your hand. Not able to hear you. All right. I don't see voice coming from your side. Please check your settings. Anyone else? Any other questions? Okay. So then the next one would come into picture. So which is a certain important utility, by the way, which is a command line browser. We call it up call. It's a command line browser, which is like the same like your browser, by the way. So whoever need to talk, by the way, you need to click on raise your hand. Okay, you'll find out emojis. Inside emojis, if you click on it, you'll find a raise hand option. So that I'll come to know that someone wants to talk. Okay. So yeah, coming back. So the command line browser, this is a very important one because I mean, we deal with our application, and application is web-based applications, and we had to execute this. I mean, some command line on some, I mean, on the many places, by the way, and especially on the command line to determine the things are working or not working. So that's where, okay. So okay, that's where I'm, okay. So going for, are going to learn something called as command line browser, which is call command. So which is a very good command. And I mean, if you're a DevOps guy, by the way, so you will rely on this particular command a lot, by the way. Okay. So to deal with the, interact with the systems and whether those are working, not working. When I say systems, applications, whether those are working, not working, and all. And also apart from that, so you will also use, okay, for browsing purpose. And also you will use your command line browser to download certain things as well, right? So you want to download some software and things like that. So we'll also use the curl command. So first thing, if I want to download a file, so here we got one file. So to download, so there is some example given here. So if I just go to my system and if I try to download this file, okay, I downloaded a file. So this file is LH. H means it is going to show me in a human readable format. H stands for human readable. So now I'm seeing it's a 2.1 megabytes of file. Okay. So here, this is the one. All right. So this is what it is. You got a file downloaded. Now, if you see the syntax, by the way, the curl, and this is the URL, which is okay. And you're telling -o, okay. And you're telling that I want this as a file name. Okay. But for an example, in Windows also, you'll do the same thing, right? Like Chrome you're having, for an example, you want to download some file. Okay. For an example, if I go for tomcat.apache.org, for an example, there's a download option. Let's say Tomcat, some URL is there. So now here, if I want to download this file, tar file something, so right click, okay. So, or basically you click on this particular one, it automatically downloads here automatically that file name, okay. But whereas I can also right click and I can also say that save link as, I can give my own file name also, okay, new.gz. So it will download in that file name. So that's where the curl command also, I have given my own file name, but I don't want that file name, let's say. So then what I can do is a curl command, I'll tell that, okay. So save it as the default file name, -O, enter. So now it will just download in the default file name. Like Windows, you always maybe click on the download, it just downloads into the default file name, what it is supposed to download. So here curl -O you will give to, you choose the default file name, or you want to change that file name to some other thing. So then that is curl -o. So this is about downloading part. Okay. And the same way, you can also use some browsing, by the way. So for an example, if I go and give curl, you can give, okay, www.google.com. This is what is a google.com content. And of course, that's true. Okay, google.com, if you give, you're saying this is the real content. No, actually server did not give this. Server did not give this. Just the browser is showing you like this. Server, what is the content it has given? So you go to the view page source, click on that. This is the content which is given by our Chrome. I mean, our Google site actually given this. This is content, and that content my browser has changed into this view. Whereas a curl command is not giving this view; it is giving the raw content. Okay, this is the content. If the content is readable for you, you will read the content. So for an example, let's bring some readable content. So where is some readable content? So we can go for any readable content we can think of. Which version? These are all big text. I just want to use a basic text one. So for an example, GitHub only will use. GitHub, our links are there, right? So I'll just use this links and so this is the actual content. So now if I have this content, if this content is readable for us, so curl -u like this, it just brings the content and the same content. So following is links that can refer in the training, so blah, blah, blah. So whatever we have, so it is showing the same thing. Okay, so that's where, so we are going to go for, okay, so browsing this one and downloading also, we use the same curl command. All right, so this is how we are going to deal with it. Right? Any questions? Not able to hear you, Swarna.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Yeah. So this works if the server is directly connected to the internet, right? So what if the server is not connected to the internet directly? Is there any other command to use it? Like, let's say in between there is a proxy. So now
Still,
that
also internet only, right?
yeah, it uses internet, but it doesn't connect to directly to the internet, the server. The traffic must go via proxy. Then is there any other command to use it?
No, your understanding is wrong. Still, you are going to internet only.
Okay.
Okay.
So this is not internet traffic then.
No, proxy is also internet traffic only,
Yeah.
right?
Now this server is behind. So let's say the server which we are using is behind the proxy.
Yeah.
Then how the traffic routes to the internet? It has to go via proxy. So would there be any other command?
Hey, you're fundamentally confused, by the way. So both are same only.
Okay.
One second. Now, without a proxy, how can you go onto the internet first place? Let's say you take a home also, right? You have a laptop. Now there is an internet.
Yeah.
Are you not going through proxy? Then how are you going internet?
I'm not. If
you have
I am at the home, I don't need a proxy. If I am at the
no. First of all, the problem that you have is you don't have an understanding of a meaning of proxy. Okay. So you have a proxy. In your case, what is a proxy? A router is a proxy.
Okay.
Okay. Without a proxy, you can't go outside in the very first place. Okay.
Okay.
Right. So in your case, router is a proxy, or you cross the router. Your
So
ISP
we are assuming here router is a proxy. So but router is not an actual proxy, right? So we are just assuming that the traffic is routed via router.
No.
So let's say I have deployed a proxy server in the environment. So my traffic has to go, this server traffic has to go via proxy. Then this command would work like curl and HTTPS. Does it really work?
Swarna, hear my words correctly. You are fundamentally missing the meaning of proxy.
Okay.
Your laptop. Okay. Are you not telling your laptop to go through this router to some place?
Yeah.
That's proxy. Okay. Now you are telling that, my server want to get onto the internet.
Yeah.
Okay. So still there should be some sort of router in your company to get onto the internet.
Yes.
Now, what is a proxy you're calling it as? You're calling, okay, one more layer I have, which is doing a content filtering.
Yeah.
Okay. But it is just crossing. Okay. The route is written in such a way that it just crosses your content filter and again go to the router and get onto that. So this is a proxy, this is also a proxy. So that means all the servers will go through this particular server to the outside, the same way in your home, your mobile, your laptop, all the blah blah devices, whatever you have. So going through router, okay, is also a proxy, by the way. Okay.
Yeah.
So it is still same. For us on the server, on the laptop, does not change anything.
Yeah, my query is, does the same URL curl URL works? That's what my question is.
That's
Because
what
there is a proxy, that server has to connect to the proxy first, not to go to the internet.
No, again, I am telling you that only you're not listening.
Okay.
For your system does not change anything, isn't it? I'm sitting inside the server. Okay. For me, it does not change anything. I connect to the router, automatically it is going the traffic outside, right?
Yeah.
Now I have a servers. Now all the servers are already, in the network level, some network team has routing all the servers to all the traffic go through proxy. It goes outside of this. So curl command will not do anything. Okay. But you are semi-confused, by the way, here. So, but you have seen something which is not clearly understanding. And that's where the problem came into picture. But when you have a proxy, now let's say you have to tell to your system, it's a system level configuration that, okay, let's say there is a proxy. You have to do some system level configuration saying that I want to go through this proxy. Then only it will go through the proxy.
Yeah, that's correct.
Okay, that is a question you are supposed to ask.
We need to configure on the server first proxy, right? So
that's a different curl command will not help you with that.
Yeah, that's not why.
Curl is not going to change anything. It is going to be still same, but you have to set your system to go through the proxy. That's a different configuration. That don't fall with the curl.
Okay. Yeah, got it.
I'm not able to hear you, Manjunath. Okay, moving on. Where is this? Yeah. So the next one, when you actually try to go to the internet and try to, try to find the files and download. So usually we'll see it in .tar.gz format. So even we just downloaded here something. So there is something called as tar. Okay. Now when you have some tar packages, okay, so how do you extract them? It's like a zip file. Zip is pretty much clear for us. However, this is a tar file. So how do I get this, or how do I extract this? So that's where tar-x for extract, and the file we are using to extract it, which is xf and Apache Tomcat. Do ls. Now you got a folder extracted. So cd do ls, you'll see a bunch of files. Okay, I'm entering cd enter, so I'll come back. And the last one which we have here is if you have some zip files. So there is some zip file here. So let's try to get it from here only, which is tomcat.apache.org. So download a zip file, by the way, let's say curl-o, and I'm giving this. Okay. So ls-lh. So you get a zip file. So this is a 14 MB file. Now, how do you unzip this? Unzip, and then this one. Done. So you got this Apache Tomcat. So if it is a zip file, unzip is the command. If it's a tar file, tar-x is the option. xf is the option to go for extraction. Okay. So these are some options we wanted to talk about. Right. That's all from my side for today. I think time up as well. So we talked about editor and some more commands, by the way, today. So which comes to the most of the basics of, just as a normal user, we wanted to deal with. Now with these options, you should be able to manage your system. For day-to-day work, will be start managing. Okay. So then the next some more commands will come into picture. So we'll continue in the tomorrow session. Any questions? Any questions?
Hi, Raghu.
Yeah.
Ravi here.
Yeah.
Are you able to hear me, Ravi?
Yes.
Okay. So before we are going to deep dive into the Azure and kind of like DevOps tools, like could you please suggest us like the what are the bare minimum requirement to to learn and then to speed up the learning of DevOps tool?
No, there is no bare minimum things. As long as what I'm teaching you are learning, it should be good. End of the day, you'll see a shape.
Oh, got it. So, as part of this, right, coming to the lab and all, like, do we get any system like that online, or
You have to create your own Azure account and start using it.
because this is my first session, so I missed last two sessions, so I don't have any background on it. Maybe
Yeah.
I'll through the recordings, then I can understand more. Yeah.
Sure. Sure.
Raghu,
Yeah.
yesterday I was telling you that my subscription issue, right?
Mm-hmm.
So actually that is not my subscription issue, but that is issue with the Azure when there is a high demand, so they cannot able to provide the system with the memory.
Correct.
So is it okay if I go with the less memory for the same image?
I think less memory is not possible with the same image, I think.
I tried yesterday, so it was accepting that 4 GB 4 GB memory.
Mm-hmm.
I just changed from it was D2, right? And it was D2 to I changed to D1 or something.
Okay.
So
So
4
then
GB.
Istios itself is struggling now. Okay. I don't know.
Yeah, how come the Azure is they cannot able to provide?
Azure is a known problem. Companies also, we don't get the hardware as expected, but at least each years I consciously pick it up because it's at least I never seen the challenges on that region.
But other reasons it was fine. The image is accepting.
Other regions it is coming up.
Yeah, other is a high
Let's go
image
for
is coming.
other region, go ahead, no problem.
Okay. But you said that that region you have some tools and these things.
No, this image, if it is accepting on the other region, please go ahead.
Okay, fine.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Right. So that case, thanks everyone. See you in tomorrow session then. Bye. Good day. Good night.